Welcome to another episode of the Crypto Knowledge Alliance Does Crypto Live. Today we are live. I'm just going to give it one moment and see if we get anyone come in. If you guys can hear me okay, if anyone's in there waiting, if you guys could just jump onto the chat room and let me know if you can hear me, that'd be great. Otherwise, I'm going to have to do that really embarrassing thing where I turn my phone up and you hear my voice twice, and it's bad enough hearing it once. You don't want to hear it twice. Can you guys hear me? Okay. Okay. All right. So let's jump straight in. Thanks for joining us, guys. I'm going to be doing these lives moving forward, possibly 2 or 3 times a week. Taking requests from the group as to what subject we'll cover on the day-to-day basis. But what we will be doing is obviously doing our normal market recap and looking into the charts and do chart requests. And additionally to that, we will add in a subject for us to learn on together. Now, whether that be something that I already have some knowledge on, like today's subject, or perhaps that'll be something where it's completely fresh and new to me, where I'll be learning as well. That'll be pretty much how we do these moving forward. Sometimes we'll have some changes. I can also announce. I can't quite give you any details just yet, as that's quite under wraps. But a collaboration of sorts um, has been written up between me and another YouTuber, a very good YouTuber, one I've got a great deal of respect for, and I think that he has also got a high level of respect in the whole crypto community as a whole. So let me just go back to the chat room. Crypto Don Juan, what's up, Jimbo? What's up, Crypto Don Juan? Great to have you join us here. Thanks, mate. And Adib Vin D as well. Hi, Jimbo. Welcome, guys. Thanks for dropping in. If any of you guys, if you are here, please just if you've got anything that guys want to take a look at, anything you want to draw my attention to, a chart you want to have a look at, you just chuck it down there in the chat group, and I'll do my best to cover as many as we can in the live. You're going to have to pardon me. I've got the Telegram popping up there in the corner. Can't do much about that, unfortunately. It's always pinging off. Um, and added note, if there is anyone who's watching this live or on repeat who isn't part of our Telegram group, there's a link in the description. That is a place where we have a group of people in there, high level of knowledge when it comes to cryptocurrency and altcoins. We're discussing cryptocurrency every day in there. It's very respectful, very clean, really nice place to go in there and discuss. What I like the most about the group, and this is, sorry, from my perspective as the person who sort of started it, is I like the fact that there are no silly questions. I think that that is absolutely key for a market with people with different levels of experience and knowledge. There's no such thing as a silly question in this market because it's so new to so many people. So, to have people in there that are willing to respond to any question, that's great. And like I said, great mix of people. So if you're not already involved, see the link in the description. Crypto Don Juan, ADA. Crypto Don Juan, we will jump on and have a look at Cardano shortly. Not a problem. Just before I crack on any further, I just want to say, I hope everyone's had a really nice day today. I have recently returned home from work. I've made myself a coffee, got my laptop on, and ready to go. So, first thing I want to do today is start off in the normal format, and we find ourselves here on the Bitcoin chart. And what a beautiful chart we are looking at the moment. I mean, it really does look very, very bullish on the 4 hour time frame, in my opinion, at the moment. I must say, the daily, sorry, could potentially have run out of steam somewhat, but I don't think it completely has. There's still plenty of time for us to see further momentum, and you can see that we had this relatively nice bounce off the 50 EMA support there, and we're pushing back up. I have also seen before. I would draw it on, but it's not going to be very neat. But if you can follow my mouse cursor here, you can see that we actually have a very potential slanted head and shoulders, cup and handle here. And you can see that this would be the cut basin. And then we have the drop and the very quick recovery. I may have to overlay the volume to check and see if there's any further support there. Because actually, when it comes to these formations and the fractals that play out on charts, it's as much to do with the volume that backs up the movement itself as well as the actual formation. So that's always worth bearing in mind. You might see something and think, oh, that's a inverse head and shoulders. We're going to have a pop here. But they don't always play out as an inverse head and shoulders. And if you learn how to spot the volume patterns as well as the price action patterns, you're more likely to find a successful trade there. So worth bearing in mind. Maybe we'll do that as another subject, eh? We'll do fractals and volume comparisons. So just to go over what we're going to do in the video, we're going to check out the charts. We're going to have a little look into one particular trading strategy, which is a crossover trading strategy. How you choose to do this particular strategy is pretty much up to you. But what I would recommend is just finding a method that works, but we'll go into that. And like I said, we'll go into the news. I have just seen a news story that's just popped in the last sort of 10-15 minutes, which I'm sure is going to be of much interest to our USA friends in here. But as I was saying, Bitcoin moving up pretty nicely. We've got up to 9,229 as of right now. And I'm going to point to you what I am focusing on right this moment. Because that's what's important. Okay, so we'll zoom in on the 4-hour time frame. This is where I like to do most of my day-to-day analysis, because I find that it's just the most relative for my particular trading strategies. And as you can see, one thing that I would like to draw your attention to is how low we are here on the stochastic RSI. Now, we have had a bearish crossover here at the bottom of the stochastic RSI. Now, these can often lead to quite large sell-offs when they cross over bearish at this zone. So that is worth taking into account. Also, we've obviously got another rejection candle here with the long wick to the north, and then as you can see, it's closed off a lot south. Now, what that's telling us is that the price pushed up during this period, but it was rejected and it came back down and closed lower. So it's always worth looking at the candle, seeing if you can learn what candle patterns are telling you. For example, let's focus on this reversal candle here. This is a pretty standard reversal doji, central base doji, where what you've got is this huge down wick, and it's continued to break down, and we've popped back up, and you can see there was a huge amount of price action within this 4-hour candle here, from 8,800 all the way up to 9,088, and then all the way back down to 8,980. But what that candle shows us there is that we found a bottom, a local bottom there. And as you can see, the next candle was nice and green. So if you'd have just, made yourself a little 10x leverage trade or something along those lines at that period, you probably would have profited quite nicely off that candle. So candle structures, another thing perhaps we could cover in another video. But Bitcoin 4 hours. So what we're going to be looking for here is this 2 hours and 50 minutes to be nice and green. And if we have a look at where we are on the hourly chart, you've got to assume that we're going to see the stochastics turn and the momentum build. We've been bouncing up on this 50 for quite some time now. If you look at the hourly chart, ever since June the 12th, where we broke through for the last time before we started this very bullish momentum back there at 7,900, and you can see it's been above there ever since. Now, we have seen it bounce, and as you can see, there's that reversal doji we see a bit more closer. You can see it as a shooting star on the 1 hour time. But what I would anticipate to happen, and what I would personally be looking to expect, is perhaps to see the stochastic RSI momentum, which is pointing downwards, see us bounce off this 50 EMA again and test that. Another clear bounce up off this would be a pretty bullish sign for me personally. I'm just going to quickly overlay the RSI also. And the reason I'm doing the RSI in this particular, so this will be worth keeping an eye on, in my personal opinion. Some people, this might look quite a bit messy having the RSI overlaid here, but basically what we've got here is a high peak on the RSI, which is relevant to this particular peak here for Bitcoin at 9,300. And actually, when we re-hit this high here, we were lower on the relative strength index. Now, if you're trading just the relative strength index alone, that could be quite a negative sign. But let's take things all into account, and I think we have got a lot of opportunity to push upwards. I think that, okay, so I put a poll out today saying, when do we think 10K is going to get hit? And I put that poll out because I wanted to get an idea of the sentiment in the market. None of us know exactly by the minute when it's going to hit 10K and what implications 10K might actually have. But what we can do is, by having a feel of the market, get an idea of what's most likely to play out. And it seemed like a lot of people seem to think that certainly within the month, we're going to see 10K. So that'll be interesting to see if that does play out. I also put another poll out yesterday, which again got interesting results, and that was, where do you think mainstream FOMO kicks in? And when I say mainstream FOMO, I'm not talking about the people that are already within these groups, because the FOMO kicked in when we saw it surpass 4, 5, and 6,000. We knew what was going on. I'm talking about the people who, have heard of Bitcoin maybe once or twice. And I think that'll be evidential in the amount of people that start joining the market. I think we're going to start seeing an increase of people watching these videos again. I think we're going to see more people joining Telegram groups, and the news start discuss Bitcoin more and more. But the question I put out to everyone is, where does that kick in? Does it kick in at 10K or 20K? Because I remember very clearly back in previous bull market, 10K was this, for the news outlets, it was absolutely massive. People just consistently going on, oh, when is Bitcoin going to hit 10K? And then it did, and it slumped back down under 10K, and it was like a media race to see when it was going to hit again, and it was just absolutely carnage FOMO wise, and we saw the price increase hugely in the weeks that followed 10K. So I put that poll out, and actually a lot more people at this time are leaning towards 20K. I think it was fairly balanced, the poll results. But people were leaning towards 20K. Now, I wonder if that's just because people have heard Bitcoin at 10,000 before, they're less likely to get FOMO. That'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But what we do know is that $9,239, we are not too far away from finding the result of that out. So if I was to put my money on when we'll see 10K, gun to my head sort of situation, okay. So I would answer that in two ways. See, we're at this extremely high volume node at the moment. Okay. And what I mean by that is, you can see there was a huge amount of price action here, 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 and here. Sorry, I'm on the wrong line. You can see that there was an extremely high amount of volume at this peak here and here as resistance and support. Now, the relevancy of that is that it's going to get drawn towards that zone. So there's a potential that within the next day or two, we could see 10K. That might not mean that we might not see a retracement after that, but very possibly this week could see 10K without anything catastrophic. I'm just going to take a quick jump back over to the chat room. Deeb, any thoughts on ZIL before the announcement? Yes, I will get onto that. Mark Innes, hello, Jimbo. Interest is definitely up. Hi, Mark. Great to have you here. Thanks for joining us, mate. And no, I absolutely agree. Interest is definitely up. And from my personal perspective, it's got to that point again where, those colleagues who had interest for a short period and they lost their $100 when they put it in, they're starting to ask the same questions again. Oh, how are you, how's everything going? How's your Bitcoin going? And I like to use these real world metrics as a way of scaling the interest and the sentiment within the market. When John down the road starts asking you, how's your Bitcoin doing? Well, it's probably because he's starting to read and see it in more places. So yes, I would say interest is definitely up. So Crypto Don Juan asked quite a long time ago. Sorry, I took so long on Bitcoin there. Crypto Don Juan asked about Cardano. So let's have a little jump into ADA. Now, Don Juan, if you are still here, I'd love to know what sort of time frame you're looking at this as for a position, because I've got to say, at the moment, the alts are suffering. It's, Bitcoin just has this way of doing it to the alts. You can see even the strongest, and I don't know if he's here with us at the moment, but I was discussing in the chat room with Man in Black regarding Engine Coin. Now, Engine Coin, as well as Cardano, these are very strong altcoin projects, in my opinion. They're very strong projects. But as you can see, they are just absolutely falling off a cliff at the moment against Bitcoin. And the reason that is because as Bitcoin moves up at such a rate, people remember, essentially what is the king of the market. And what they want to do is they don't want to miss out on the Bitcoin pump. So they sell their alts off, and they sell their alts off to get back into Bitcoin. Now, what we need to wait to happen is a period of stabilization. Now, this stabilization leads to the Bitcoin gains slowly making their way back into the altcoins. And what you find is that it's once you see stabilization in the price, that the market seems to certainly seems to kick back in. What I will say is, though, there are opportunities out there. There are trading opportunities out there. Not all of them. And if you're in a position, again, technical analysis when it comes to the altcoin market is a very different kettle of fish when all of a sudden Bitcoin does something insane. And that is why whenever I say to someone, "Oh, have a look at this position," or there's a potential trade here, or whatever, whatever. Again, it's always just my opinion and for educational purposes, not financial advice. But when I do say that, I always say the same thing. You have to have a look at Bitcoin, because at the end of the day, if Bitcoin is about to pump 2000 or drop 2000, no technical analysis in the world can account for that, unfortunately. So as you can see, Cardano had this lovely big run up in April, got all the way up to 1940, maybe slightly higher, and we have dropped right off to actually pretty much half of that, now back down at 997. So seriously low at the moment. Crypto Don 1, I'd be having a look at this support line I've drawn here. This is just based off these candle wicks. You could probably draw a second line in and just move it to the bodies of the candles as well. That'd be an interesting. And what you might find there is you might find an area of potential bottoming, or certainly an area to watch. And that at the current gradient of this line, depending on how many day candles it takes you to get here, that's about the 950 zone. So perhaps I would be holding off to see how it reacted to that support line. If we bounce very strongly off it, you see a turnaround in the stochastic RSIs, and your EMA start to point back up again, then you've got a green light to potentially make an entry. Or that would be, for me personally, just like we saw here. So I know this is the first line of the support, but as you can see, we've bounced, we've hovered on this support for a while. Our EMA's kicked up, our stochastic RSI ticked up, and then we had some nice price movement. So worth a watch, okay? Although, on the inverse, sometimes the volume isn't there to do it and you just get a brief spike. But what I would say is that, long-term Cardano, you have to believe, is a very good project. When you look at the fundamentals and the team and how they've gone about their business from the very early days. In fact, look at that. You can actually, on the weekly chart, that support line pretty much takes us all the way back to Cardano's start. So that's interesting. That is interesting. The question is that you have to ask yourself is, are we going to break this support, or are we going to bounce off it? If there's no break of that support, then you have to believe that ADA could be potentially a very good trade. If it breaks down, it could spiral much worse. ADA. Deeb, thoughts on ZIL before the announcement tomorrow? So let's first of all, let's pull the ZIL chart. Zilliqa Bitcoin. Currently sat 282, up 0.36 on the day. Let's come off the weekly, which is pointing up. Always remember, macro trend is your friend. What a chart this is. What a chart. On the daily, this is starting to look, in my opinion, rather interesting. And actually, I think this will lead in quite nicely into the second portion of our talk, which is regarding the crossover trading strategies. Now, with ZIL, as we know, there is an announcement being made tomorrow, and there is a lot of speculation that it could be potentially announcing some sort of partnership or collaboration with Facebook, potentially some sort of links with Global Coin or Libra Coin, or the Libra Foundation, whatever you'd like to call them. And what I'd love, actually, guys, if you guys have got any, if you're there, you got any opinions on Libra, whether you're watching this live or you're watching the replay, give me a little message down there in the chat box. Let me know what your thoughts are about the Libra Foundation and this project. Is this good for the crypto market, in your opinion? Or is it just going to take away market share from Bitcoin and the other alts? Let me know what you think. But back to ZIL, currently this is a rather bullish formation. Now you can see that we've started to trade in this channel. What we are looking for is a breakout of the channel, okay? We're looking for a breakout either way. Sorry, let me just get these lines more pretty for you guys. I actually misplaced my mouse at work today, so I'm just trying to do this on a laptop. keypad, which is a little bit more difficult. But so as you can see, we've got a trading in a little bit of an upwards trending channel here. Now, the thing that piques my interest is that the stochastic RSI is actually taking a bullish reversal turn above the 20 line. Now, this is something I personally look for when entering a trading position. And you can what you can see here is that we have got these spikes and spikes, higher highs, higher lows. I had put a message out several days ago about spotting trend reversals. Now, this is just absolutely perfect, isn't it, on this daily chart? Because from April the 4th till 13th of May, that is one very clear trend. We are absolutely trending down. There's no argument for the other way. That is a downwards trend. And from that same period, the 13th of May, up till the current date, what you can see is instead of getting lower highs and lower lows, well, on the flip of that, we're now seeing higher lows and higher highs. It's a very positive sign to keep an eye on. And as you can see, we had a similar sort of break here where we had a long period of down. And this particular candle is, I know, a bit freakish because it spiked so much. Could have potentially been on news, or it could have just been natural movement, or FOMO, or whatever it was when that candle kicked in. But what you can see is then we started to form these higher lows. We didn't get the higher highs on this occasion, but we did form this triangular tightening range. And when we finally broke up, it was very positive to the upside. And what it was followed through with was the crossover. Now, let's have a discussion about that. I have to admit that this is not an original trading strategy for certain. There are lots and lots and lots of people out there that use either SMA crossover strategies or EMA trading strategies. Now, that's either simple moving average or exponential moving average. Now, basically, what a moving average is it's taking an average of the price and forming you a line. That's a simple moving average. It's taking an aggregated average price across the period that you set it at. So say it was 10, that's 10 candles, and you're getting at every single point of the new point of the line, it is the 10 previous prices forming you a line. That's a simple moving average. An exponential moving average, which is what I'm actually using on this occasion, is slightly different. The reason it's different is that it actually weights the most recent price action more heavily than the oldest price action, if that makes any sense. So if you have as we have here, the difference between simple moving average and the exponential moving average here would be that this is a very sharp upturn on the exponential moving average. The reason it's a sharp upturn is because it weighs this candle heavier than it has weighed the previous ones. Okay, the simple moving average would have actually smoothed out a little bit more evenly, and you may not have even seen this dip. It might have just sort of curved down here and rejoined. I'm not going to add it in at the moment because it's just going to overlay too many lines, but you get the point. A simple moving average tends to be a bit smoother in a volatile market, whereas an exponential moving average tends to be a little bit sharper in the moves. And from my own personal opinion, is a little bit better at spotting potential moves in the market because, like I said, in the crypto market, things move very fast, extremely fast, and we're looking to be on top of these things as soon as possible. And this is personally why I use exponential moving averages. The trading strategy. Now, this is a trading strategy used by tons and tons and tons of market bots. This is something that a lot of market bots use, and I think that's one of the reasons it's such a what's the word I'm looking for? The prophecy that self-achieves. Because so many people and bots are looking at these trading strategies and these crossovers. So the simple way to explain it would be once your lower time frame moving average crosses your higher period moving average, you enter. So for example here, and you could either sell at a peak or you can sell at the negative crossover. Now that's excellent points are completely dependent on you, but essentially what it says is go long at the positive crossover, go short at the negative crossover. And as you go back across Zilliqa, and I've had no time to examine this whatsoever to be prepared for this, so I don't know if the crossovers worked potentially here before. But look, you can see a failed crossover here, sort of big sell-off. Positive crossover, saw a nice big gain. If you'd have traded that one daily Zilliqa chart based on this crossover alone, you were looking at a potential profit of 50 odd percent. And even if you sold the negative crossover, still 23%. So not too bad at all. And then, of course, you can see if similarly, again, not that you can, but if you could have shorted Zilliqa, you would have shorted there. You might have exited on these little bumps. But again, negative cross, big sell off. What's interesting about the Zilliqa price right now, especially leading into tomorrow when we've got news developing tomorrow, as we've previously discussed. What you can see is we're approaching the crossover here. Now, I have to, for full transparency, the two EMAs that I've got here are the 7 and 50. I usually overlay the 21 with the 3 to make a band. That is just on personal preference, and I'll show you on charts.cointrader Pro in a moment why I do that. But what I'm looking at here is that we are very close to a potential crossover, and the 50, which is my higher weighted in exponential moving average, is looking rather smooth. So very much to be watching for you, Adib, would be, do we get this crossover? If we get a nice big positive candle today, then we could be, with this stochastic RSI the way it is and being this close to the crossover, this could get a huge amount of attention. And fundamentally based, if that news tomorrow is very bullish, then we already know what the impact of that will be. So here we can have a little examination of the 4 hour to see if we can get a better idea of what's going on there. And I will say, actually, there are things to take into concern that would concern me slightly here. And that would only be that we have just seen a positive crossover, which, as I've explained, is a good thing. But our stochastic RSI is extremely high at the moment. Now, that doesn't mean to say that it won't continue to grow in price. But what it does suggest is that there's more chance that we could see it drop back down before any more bullish movement. But keep an eye on it. And as I said, news moves the market very quickly, as we know. And there's also something to take into account with that, Adib. And this is for any of you guys out there who are holding Zilliqa. There's so much expectations in the market that this news is going to be a bombshell that if it's not, we could very easily see it drop back down very quickly as well, because a lot of people might be priced in thinking that this is going to be huge news. And if it's not, we might see it come back down. So worth taking into account. Just pop over to the chat. Man in Black. Hey guys, sorry I'm late. Had to take the dog out and she took a while doing her thing. Yeah. Yeah, don't worry about that, mate. Thank you very much for joining us in here. Yeah, it's great to have you along. I'm sure you're feeling rather happy with the flexor profits, etc. I'm not sure if it was yourself also who took up the position in Veracity VRA, but VRA has really done quite nicely over today and the last few days, in fact the last few weeks. So congratulations to all of you that got in. Now I just want to have a quick look at some of the other charts quickly, just two that I want to review. The first one is Chainlink. Now for those of you who are part of my premium membership, which is strictly educational, as I always say, strictly educational, I did release a prompt this morning to say that, hey, listen guys, there is a position that I like on Chainlink. I think it was reasonably well set up, and I think it was about 1900 something, 19,000, sorry, somewhere around here. And again, it was very similar, seeing the stochastic RSI pointing up, seeing this bounce in the EMA, and we took a nice little gain off that. I think it was, I think it maxed out about 8% or 5, something like that. I'm not 100% sure. Let's have a look. It's about there, 1900. God, this is hard on a laptop keypad. Well, it's even harder when you haven't selected the right option. So somewhere around here. So you could have taken around 10%, 12% off that, and very nice. Yeah, not too bad for those who did enter, I'm sure. Yeah, not too bad at all. Chainlink again, going from strength to strength, and now it's in the Google News. You've seen that they're partnered with up to 30 or 40 different blockchain projects, I believe I saw. So going from strength to strength, and this could be a big deal. Chainlink could be a big deal. If you don't know too much about Chainlink, I really recommend that you go and do your homework. And I'm going to show you this, guys. because this is going back some time now, and I actually did pretty well personally off Chainlink. It might have even been, yeah, it was before CKA started, so it was back in January. I don't think I started CKA until sometime in February. But here we go. So this was what I saw. I saw this big cup and handle form, huge cup and handle. Almost a whole year's worth of price action, and I traded off this neckline and took a lovely profit. Not, I don't want to say I sold at the top because I actually think I sold a bit prematurely, but you know, you're looking at 72% off that neckline. Subsequently, we came back down, retested the neckline of the cup and handle. As you can see, formed a new bottom. We did have, again, look, you look down here, we've got these triangles drawn out with the breakout from that particular triangle. Guys, it's one of those ones where you look back and you just think, oh, if I'd have known a little bit more about the project at the time and wasn't just trading it, I might have hung on, because I did trade it again here, up to the top here, but didn't know enough about the project, hadn't done my due diligence and didn't hold on, and subsequently was still just pushing on up. And I really strongly believe that Chainlink could be a fundamental part of the architecture that makes up the cryptocurrency future. Could be wrong. I'm not an oracle. I can't see the future. That isn't, you know, I don't claim to do any of those things. So I'm just going to take a sip of my coffee. Oh, it's getting cold. I've been talking for that long already. I haven't even moved off the charts yet. But yes, yeah, but go and do a little bit of reading on this, guys. Go and do a bit of research. Let me know. What do you think, guys? Do you think Chainlink could be an underlying feature of the cryptocurrency future? I do for sure. The only other one that I wanted to draw your attention to was APPC AppCoins. And I looked at this one earlier, and again, this was, you know, daily chart. By the way, guys, this is something I've been watching for some time. We are right in this accumulation phase for AppCoins, and I actually, well, just below it, but yeah, but this accumulation zone for AppCoins is really big. And again, if you guys haven't learned anything about AppCoins yet, go and do your research. Now, I'm not going to say that I think AppCoins is going to partner with iOS because I don't know that to be true. But what I will say is that if you go and have a look at AppCoins, the professionalism that they seem to promote is rather good. Go and do your own research, of course. I can't tell you what to buy, when to buy. I'm not a financial advisor. This isn't legal or financial advice. Go and do some research and let me know. But I saw something brewing on the 1 hour chart. I saw us bouncing here along the stochastic RSI, taking another positive turn. I said it was about 1090. It was sheer luck that it did pump when it did. But it was at this neckline. That was it, about 1090, about there at that neckline. I thought, this looks like it's got the legs to break up, and it did. And again, this was a really, really quick movement, and we saw 12% profit potential off that. Of course, it's always potential because the chances of you buying at the very bottom and selling at the very top is pretty much nil point. So you always have to remember that whenever and this isn't just myself, this would be anyone who ever says about, you know, well, this at this price or this at that price, it's always got to be considered PP. It's always got to be considered potential profit, because at the end of the day, we don't live in some perfect world where you buy the lowest price and sell the highest high. That's just not how market trading works. And anyone that tells you they can do that consistently is either a trading messiah or they're lying. Just jump back over quickly to the chat room. Adib, thanks for Men in Black. Sorry, I missed that one. I'll check out VRA. Don't have any. Man in Black, I really, really recommend you go and check out Veracity. It's yeah, go and check it out. Go and check it out. Interesting, interesting technology. What I like about it so much is its ability to be able to be integrated into current technology, and that could be an interesting and very key part of how this market, again, how the cryptocurrency future develops. I believe that you don't just go from third industrial revolution to fourth industrial revolution technology overnight. What actually in reality happens is that you have a crossover between the things, and I think that the blockchain network and the internet are no different. So there will be in the future some of these blockchain projects where everything's run off their blockchain project, where you consider something like what Tron are trying to do, where they're essentially trying to become a new internet decentralized content sharing platform or something along those lines. But where Veracity is actually integrated into the video players that we already have and can be used for, I believe it's the tipping and the rewards and advertising and stuff like that. So worth having a look at. The thing that really drew my attention to it was back when it was about 3 or 4 million market cap. It can't be that much more than that now. Let's just have a quick look. But what drew my attention to it was a little murmuring that there was going to be this potential partnership or integration with YouTube, which, as far as I'm aware, did go ahead and get sealed on the dotted line. And since then, it's been pretty nice. So we're up at about 5 million market cap at the moment. And look, you can see this huge spike. And I think that must have been on the release of the YouTube news, I guess. But yeah, go and do your own research, of course. Do your homework, learn about the project. Due diligence is the key. Adib, thanks for that, Jimbo. Don't worry, I like to buy the hype, then sell the news. And you know what, Adib? Fundamentally take all technical analysis out of the picture. That is not a bad strategy. What has worked in this market previously probably will continue to work in the future. All you have to do is, for example, look at that to see that news drives this market. And also, remember, I wonder if you guys, I think most of you were with me at the time, and maybe actually Man in Black, I met you through this potentially, but Cosmo Chain, that was an absolute perfect example of buy the rumor, sell the news, because it was just dotted around in the dark places of Google search into the cryptocurrency world, that potentially this Cosme could be listed as a Samsung S10 DApp or one of the first. And it just, for me at the time, I just thought, well, I've never heard of this project. This is coming out of nowhere. The other project that was linked with it was Engine, and everyone's like, well, of course, Engine, of course, they're amazing, blah blah blah. Got the wallet integration, it all makes sense. And I just thought, it doesn't seem like a excuse my language, but a bullshit rumor. It just came from nowhere with this project. And when I started digging into it, just this little bit of rumor, I thought, excellent, I'm getting involved with these guys. And it was nice and profitable. It was nice and profitable, Cosme. And again, sure, very good for the future. Sorry. The reason I haven't done a video for the last week, guys, by the way, is I had a bit of a nasty flu last week, and the last thing I wanted to do is sort of like be phlegmy breathing down the mic at you guys. But I'm back. Matt the Carpenter. Oh, hey Matt, great to have you here, mate. Hi Jim, just finished at the gym, so I can now catch you into the stream. You're smashing it, buddy. Yeah, thanks, Matt. Hope you're having a good day today, Matt. Matt's just recently joined a new gym, so he's been at the gym pumping iron. More power to you, Matt. I got to admit, I think I should probably focus a little bit more on doing more physical activities. But every time I think about doing it, I find myself looking at TradingView. Okay, Men in Black. Do you hold any rec? Any thoughts on the chart? I don't hold any, but let's have a quick look at the chart for you. I'm pretty sure I'm sure I saw this absolutely crumble a couple of days ago. And maybe, is it on Binance? Yeah, Request Network on Binance. Yeah. Maybe it wasn't the one I saw. I think maybe it was on perhaps it was on Bitfinex. It was down really low. 1 hour chart looks like it's ready for a potential retest of the 50. So I would be watching that. But of course, when you just see a chart that's developing lower lows, I know this is only the hourly, but this is a nice signal to see from my personal experience and opinion. But when you see these just consistent lower lows, that's not so nice, is it? But let's go to a more useful and better time frame. Oh, well, let's try and make a case for it. I'm going to start by making a case for it, and then I'm probably going to shoot myself down. So it is heading down, but the stochastic RSI is quickly running out of momentum. Okay, so I put two lines on here for you to check Man in Black. This might not be very useful depending if you're day trading or not. It depends what time frames you're looking at here. But I would say you want to see this line here is pretty important, and likewise this line here, which gives us a zone between 235 and 258. Now, what would I do if I was looking for a trade here? Okay, so if I really wanted to enter thinking there's a nice potential support developing. You can see this sort of pattern has been developing on a lot of the altcoins over the last couple of months. In that you can see these almost bottoming effects, but that doesn't, just because it looks like a bottom doesn't mean it is a bottom. So that's where you have to consider your risk to reward ratio, in my opinion. Look, you've got trading view saying strong sell. So if that's an indicator to go by, I would say buy. Because yeah, let's be honest, if it was easy as just saying strong sell or strong buy, we would all be market pros. So, take this technical analysis thing with a pinch of salt. But yeah, so I'd be watching these two lines. Now, what I would say, if I was to make a case for it, is at this particular stage, we have seen a reversal doji form here, potential reversal doji form here. And if this 4-hour candle can turn green, we might just see a shooting star develop. It doesn't look, even on the lower time frames, yeah, I mean this formation here is very much going to be a key into how this chart plays out, in my opinion, Man in Black. Because as you can see, what we want to see is a really strong push up from here over the next 2 1-hour candles, and if you get that, and you can see this 4-hour candle turn into a shooting star, and what that will inadvertently do is provide us a second bounce on this support line. Then I'd be saying, okay, maybe there's a trade here. Right now, not for me, not on the lower time frames. Daily's still pointing down, pretty ugly. And again, you're looking at these EMAs to see if you can get any ideas from what's been going on previously. What you can see is since we crossed over negatively here, since we had the negative EMA cross, we've tested the 50 and failed. We've tested the 50 and failed. We've tested the 50 and failed. And yeah, so so there's things to keep an eye on there. I don't know enough about the project to speak about it fundamentally. I'll do some homework on that and give you my thoughts when I can. Sounds interesting. Thanks. I take it you're talking about Veracity there. Yes, Cosmlaw sold a little late. All honesty, so did I. It popped up to I can't remember off the top of my head. I remember it was a really violent pump when it went. It was like 100% in a day or two. It really did go some. And I'm pretty sure from memory, let's check the price now. It's at 4 cents. I'm pretty sure it got up to about 7. Yeah. Yeah. So here you can see it all the way up there. It's about 6.5 cents. And then we very quickly declined. But that's, are we seeing a basin of a cup and handle forming? Potentially, but again, this is USD value, isn't it? So always worth watching. Against the BTC, we might have even found a local bottom, so it might be time to be looking into Cosme again. Project wise, guys, I would go and do research on this one again. Yes, their plans that they do have with Samsung are there. There's no doubt about it. There's no smoke without fire, and I'm pretty sure there's something to be looking at here. But unfortunately, what I will say is they haven't quite got their communication tactics right yet, and that's upset. From what I can see, general sentiment in their Telegram groups and communities, it can be a bit frustrating because their main market and community in South Korea and Asia. And I think they do a reasonably good job of communicating with those guys, but internationally, we don't get a huge amount of news. And even if we do, it's broken English, which is of course excusable. Can't hold that against a project. I'm not for a moment, but I just want a little bit more from them. I understand that there's non-disclosure agreements and stuff like that in place, but just give us something to get a little bit excited about. Just give us something. But yeah, go and do a bit of research on this, guys. Reasonably good app. Very good. Sorry, the app is in development. It looks good, and their fundamental idea is pretty strong as well. How the hell was Cosm on the Samsung presentation right next to Eng? Looking back now, it feels a little silly. Well, Man in Black, my views on that would be it's completely based on perspective. Now, I love Samsung, big Samsung user, completely again not against Apple, but never really gone down the Apple rabbit hole. I understand they're very, very good at marketing, but then again, I guess a Samsung as well. But anyway, say all right, here we are. We are in a position now where we need to transition from the early adopters to the early majority. Okay. Now, Samsung, being the electronics mogul and giant that they actually have the market power to help ease that transition between early adopters and early majority, in my opinion. Now, the reason they have the power to do that is because they can quite literally put their technology right in your hand. I personally believe the appeal of Engine. Now, this is could sound. I'm not trying to come across sexist here. Not at all. It's not. I'm just giving you an overview. From my perspective, the appeal of Engine is mainly a male mass market, whether it be in Asia or the Western world. The gaming industry, and I'm not saying it just is because it's not, of course, but mainly I would say that's a male dominated market. I believe that the Cosmi app and the Cosmo chain ecosystem that they're trying to build is a more targeted approach to bring women into the crypto space. They're doing that because it's very similar with Engine, different slightly with Engine, because Engine, you're very fundamentally aware that you're dealing with cryptocurrencies. Cosmi and Cosmo Chain are trying to integrate cryptocurrencies into a social media style platform that rewards people and allows them to buy products, mainly cosmetic products. I think that's aimed at a mainly female market, not completely, but mainly. And I think that Engine and Cosmi being side by side might not be as much as a coincidence or as silly as it seems. I think it's a two-pronged approach to integration. Could be wrong, but that's what I would go at. Matt the Carpenter, thanks, mate. I'm sore now. Yeah, yeah. I be honest with you, Matt. I look at a set of weights and I get sore. That's not quite that bad. But I do need to pick up my physical exercise routine. I actually, a little bit of insight into me. I actually had a quite bad knee injury playing football uh, about 2 years ago. I snapped my ACL and did some pretty serious damage to my meniscal cartilage at the same time. And unfortunately, it took about 10 months for me to have the operation that was required. I'm not going to complain about why, but that's what happened. And I just ever since there, I'm getting back now. I can walk and I'm starting to run again, but it's just building back up to it. I just need to get back into the swing of things. And I'm supposedly going on holiday within the next month or so with my lovely other half. And at the moment, I am far from beach bod ready. Man about cool. Yeah, thanks for the rec info. Yeah, sorry I couldn't give you more fundamental insight into Request Network. Man in Black, as I said, I will go and do my homework and come back. Agree about the COSM market. I used to work with social influencers a lot, and it would be easily integrated into the influencer search platforms, which already handle payments. Yeah, exactly. And you think about like you said, social media outreach of these influencers. It's huge, the Kim Kardashians of the world have more daily followers than probably almost anything else on the planet. It's absolutely insane across the social media platforms. Now, all it takes is one or two of these social media influencers to turn around and say, "Hey guys, look, I've just downloaded this new app. I'm earning free cosmetic products by sharing pictures of me using the cosmetic products on this app." And you could have a mass migration over to this app when everyone goes, "Oh wow!" I think it's going to be mainly aimed at the Asian market and South Korean market to start with, because that's where they have the marketplace. But you get my point anyway. You get what I'm getting at. Uh, I was an Adib. I was an orthopedic nurse. I'll have to personal message you on that, Adib. I probably could do with some help with my knees, to be honest. I've been signed off, completely signed off from the NHS from my physio. I've done all of that bit, but I get some aches and pains there at the minute, which I just don't know if they're if I should be getting them, if it's normal or. But anyway, I'd like to message you that. Thank you. Who will be the one to partner with Google's FameBit? Well, the company or project that does is going to make lots of money for sure. Yeah, actually, interesting you say that, Man of Black. I did mention it in a friend's stream this morning. Actually, I got an email yesterday or the day before from Google. Now, this email was to explain to me that they are shutting down their peer-to-peer payment network. I wonder why. There's a couple of reasons why this could be, in my opinion. Now, either Google doesn't want to be in the world of peer-to-peer payments, which, I'll be honest with you, I'm struggling to believe. I think Google know how big peer-to-peer payment networks are going to become. I wonder if perhaps we are in line for a large reform of these networks. Who knows? But like you said, those companies, the Googles of this world, they could very much drive how this space develops. And that's why, as we were talking about Facebook Coin earlier, or sorry, not Facebook Coin, Global Coin, the Libra project. These sort of projects can determine the future of our space, because the likelihood is a lot of the big pre-existing companies, we talked, the last year you've heard people come out and say things about other companies being left behind by not adopting blockchain, and they're going to be replaced, and this, that, and the other. And that could happen. That is one of the potential futures. Probably not the most likely future. In my opinion, the most likely future is one where the giants of this world buy out the blockchain projects which are useful for them, because I just can't see it going any other. Sorry, not I can't see it. There are other ways that it could go. It's like, for example, I have a very slanted view on XRP, but I think XRP is the blockchain payments. What? Sorry, that's the wrong way to say this. I think the banks are going to be in much higher favor of using something like XRP, where the centralized ownership of that can make huge amounts of revenue through small price increases. And the payment network itself may or may not depend on it, depending on which article you read. I mean, I know that there's lots more coming out to say now that XRP is going to be used, but let's show me that. Show me it being used by the banks. Don't tell me they've got a list of 100 partnerships with banks or whatever it is. That's great. That's all fantastic. But what are they actually partnered? Are they partnered with Ripple? Are they using XRP? What are they doing? Okay. And I think that a company like that is much more beneficial to the banks than, for example, the banks adopting Bitcoin as a currency. And that's just my own personal opinion. And I'm probably going to get some knockback for that. But we're all here to have an opinion, right? And that's just one perspective. You guys might think differently, but just an insight. Man in Black, I think you're onto something. Yeah, with the Google P2P, I assume. Yeah, I mean, just seemed like unusual timing. I think there might be odds. I mean, why would with Bitcoin being in the position that it is in, where it's primed to potentially replace some of the peer-to-peer payment networks, or some form of cryptocurrency to replace the peer-to-peer payment networks. Why would Google all of a sudden drop out of the race? Oh, look, there's a potential multi-trillion-dollar market emerging, which could bypass, could potentially in the future bypass governments and banks and governance and regulatory bodies and this, that, and the other. Well, let's get out of it. We don't want to be involved. No, that doesn't sound right to me. It sounds like they're cooking up something in the background, and I'm sure we will know more about it in the future. Actually, I'm going to cover one more thing. I'm going to wrap this up pretty soon. We've almost done an hour, but I just want to cover one more thing briefly, and that is this. Right. Cash. Now, I have personally held cash for, I think, about 13 months. I've traded in and out. I watched it hit the heights of $2, and I traded in and out. I took profits, but we're now all the way back down at 15 cents. But I've been in and out of this thing for a long time. If you guys don't know what cash is, it is the exchange token for the platform now. It's called Liquid Exchange. Now, I'm not going to go into this in too much detail. I'll let you guys go and do your own research as always. But this exchange is very, very neat and tidy. More importantly, the company that own it, which is, and butcher the pronunciation of this, but Coin, Quoine, Coin. They are a very professional outfit out of Hong Kong, and they started with Cryptos as an exchange, and they have been developing, and Liquid was their big project, and they've got it out. They also have something called the World Book. I'm not sure if that's completely in place yet, but again, worth doing some research into. Pretty revolutionary when it comes to cryptocurrency exchanges. But the point is, these guys have been jumping through hoops to from the beginning to meet regulatory requirements for Hong Kong, and that's no mean feat. And they are very professional. They're very secure. Well, as secure as a cryptocurrency exchange can be, and as much as you can trust one, I like them. The thing that I wanted to bring to your attention is right here on the screen. I'm sure you've read it. Gram token sale. Yes, that's right. It's finally happening. The Ton token, the Ton Gram, Telegram's very own cryptocurrency, will be launched on Liquid. Moreover, I believe you will have to purchase the Gram token in cash. 22 days and 14 hours. Now, let's just have a look, go down and see if that is right. We know about Telegram, blah, blah, blah. Was most anticipated token sale available to the public for the first time. Liquid has partnered with Gram Asia for an exclusive sale of Telegram's token, available only to Liquid customers. Enter your email below to stay informed. Now, I have monitored the initial exchange offerings that Liquid have done, because this isn't the first one. And I believe, no, actually, look, we can see here that you simply fund your account with USDC or USD to buy Gram. So it's not going to be a cash payments alone, but you will be able to purchase it in cash, that I'm sure. And I'm sure that's going to drive some more value into this token and in this exchange. And when you're looking for exchanges which could potentially have a bright future, and I know there's a lot of focus on what's going to succeed in the US beyond Binance. But if you're looking globally, these guys are doing some pretty cool stuff, some pretty professional moves that they've made in their small current history. And I would advise you guys to do some research on these guys, see what you think. I'm a really big fan of their managing director. He is a very, very nice bloke. He does a lot of video updates himself, and he just says and does the things that you would probably, or personally, I like to see managing directors of these projects do. There's no mindless shilling. It's no, come and use my exchange, it's going to be worth loads of money, this, that, and the other, and our token's the best thing since sliced bread. And we've heard it all before. No, it's not like that at all. They are very professional. They communicate very well with their community, and they have also built a very secure platform. So come and check it out. Do your research. Let me know again. Do you guys think this is going to drive the price with the Gram token sale happening here? And also, on top of that, if the Telegram have chosen Liquid to be the place to do their initial exchange offering, could there be a chance that we see a global coin list on there? Do we even believe global coin's going to get listed on exchanges? We've already been told that it's probably going to be a pegged coin, but the insights of that are a little bit vague at the moment. Some people are saying it's going to be USD pegged. Some people are even saying it's going to be pegged to a group of cryptocurrencies. Interesting times ahead. Worth watching. Could Liquid be part of that? Who knows? So finally, I'm just going to get this one news story. If you guys have made it all the way to the end, thank you very much for sticking with me. I might not be able to find the direct link. It was probably, I think it was on here on TradingView. Should just be able to find it. So, Binance confirm stable offering coming soon, and that was on the 6th. And today I saw there were some developments. I'm not seeing the news story right now, but as you can see from these, some of these news stories here, Binance has confirmed it's going to be launching a USD-backed stablecoin. They are also considering testing a British pound linked stablecoin. So worth having a look at Indeed. And I wonder how closely related that might be to. I'm going to first give you some news and then I'm going to drop you a rumor. I wonder how closely related this could be to one, Binance.com not being available in the USA, which we have already been told is going to happen. You have 89 days remaining if you are a Binance.com US customer. And after 89 days, you will no longer be able to use that platform. Binance have announced that they're going to be releasing a Binance US platform, but my personal view is that you will probably see a huge drop in the cryptocurrencies available on that platform, along with some pretty obvious changes. And I believe that was to how much money you have to be able to use the platform, along with what is classified as security and who is classified as a security investor. So lots to look into there if you're in the US. But I have also seen there is another potential issue for US customers, and I would say this potentially for Binance as a whole. Now, this is a rumor, complete rumor, but I have seen the murmurings that Binance BNB, Binance Coin, will not be available on the Binance DEX for US customers. And that is a bombshell potentially if that's the case, because at the end of the day, the Binance Coin is, we know we've made outlandish predictions. I've said in the past, I think it's 100, maybe $500 token in the distant future. But the US are acting. Potentially no Binance Coin for the US. Now, in a way, I kind of think it makes sense because at the end of the day, CZ and Binance have made plenty of links between the success of Binance and the price of Binance Coin. And if you understand anything about securities law in the US, you know that as soon as you start saying that something's going to go up in value based on performance of your company, you are pretty much selling a security. So you'd have to say, doesn't look too good for Binance Coin in the US. That is a rumor, not confirmed. But certainly, if you're holding Binance Coin at the moment, probably something that you want to keep your ears to the ground on, because if that gets announced and there's a huge surge of people in the US who are dumping Binance Coin, listen, I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but if you start thinking about the amount of people that have amassed large quantities of Binance Coin to be able to enter the initial exchange offerings, etc., to, say, been sort of suggested that could be around about 40 to 50% of physical volume of money comes from the US, although only 20% of site traffic. If all of those holders are going to dump Binance Coin, you want to be aware, right? So I'm giving you the scoop. It's a rumor. It's not news. Just keep your eye on it. Man, I'll suffer a heart attack if Facebook uses Flexa codes in their apps. Just at the in there, yeah, no, yeah, same. That would be pretty good for me too as well. Flexa again, guys. If you're listening, you haven't seen it, Flex Coin, worth checking it out. They are also introducing Bitcoin pegged. The Bitcoin pegged currency. I've seen that as well. Stable. It's funny to call it a stable, isn't it? It's not. Is it really a stable? Is it not just a? Is it not just like wrapped Bitcoin? If you haven't looked into that, is that not similar? Because it's not really a stable coin, is it? It's just pegged to the same value and it's going to fluctuate as much as anyway. Semantics. Might be able to have a BNB peg coin. I have no idea. Just reading all this now for the first time. Yeah, it's pretty new. Like I said, some of this is dripping out, and it's not the sort of news that Binance would have ever wanted to all drop in one go, because the implications that could have had for the Binance token could have been massive. But yeah, who knows? That maybe is a suggestion. You could have a BNB pegged, but does again? Sorry, pardon me. If you do peg a stable to something like BNB, that's not surely, in my opinion, that can't be able to impact the fundamental value of the original currency. So, for example, what I mean is, if someone goes and buys a huge, ridiculous amount of wrapped Bitcoin, say they go and buy 1 million, right? Huge amount, but just say, for example, someone buys 1 million, the price spike on wrapped Bitcoin would be humongous. But wrapped Bitcoin is pegged to Bitcoin, not the other way round. I don't see that would have an implication for the Bitcoin price unless it just drives sentiment and FOMO. And I wonder if that's the same, like I said about the BNB. Value, if there's a huge amount of token holders in the US that hold BNB that are ready to dump, I'm not sure they're buying a stable or a coin that's pegged to BNB is going to have a positive or negative impact on the actual physical BNB price. But worth keeping an eye on, guys, because these are interesting times. Things are happening in the market that sometimes have never happened before. It's moving forward. We are seeing the early stages of market maturity. Okay, guys, I think I'm probably going to leave it there for today. Probably went on a bit longer than I should have, but I do like discussing things with you. And for those of you that stopped by and were here live, thank you very much for joining me. I will do another live stream later on in the week, and we will put a poll out beforehand to determine what the subject is going to be. If you're brand new around here and you're not in the Telegram group and you want to have some input into what that next video is going to be, come and join our free Telegram group. The link is in the description. It'd be great to have you involved and discussing things in there with us. Until next time, guys, take care, and I will be back. Bye.